Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. And yesterday, I had to tape the show. And then, of course, over the, early morning on Monday, the Vegas stuff broke. Actually, it broke late that evening. And when everybody got up on Monday, things had broken. And, of course, I'm now in the west side of the country. So things get to me late anyway. And by the time we could have done anything to try to, do something live for the show, everything was already going and you were pretty much aware of it. So I'm going to cover a little bit of that today. I'll also cover a bit more of the NFL because there were some interesting stories that broke there as well. But needless to say, there's a lot of focus on this Vegas tragedy. And it's the second thing that's happened in Vegas in the past couple of weeks. There was a shooting during the Floyd Mayweather fight, and that's kind of normal. You got all these people coming together for a fight, an MMA guy versus a boxer, and somebody decided, okay, I'm going to bring a gun. They shoot inside of a casino, boo, 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 whatever happens. And then the big story out of that was the NFL player, Bennett, Michael Bennett, I believe was his name, saying he got accosted and the cops targeted him and all this. And that turned out to be a lie. And it was a big story for us because we broke that particular lie. And what really happened was they showed video of Bennett hiding behind slot machines, and I don't blame him. And then he eventually runs out of the casino. We talked a little bit about this. He runs out of the casino. Cops see him. They throw him down because he looks suspicious. The shooting had occurred. They don't know what to look for. He was acting suspicious, and the cops did what they did, et cetera. Should have been no story because it is what it is. And let's face it, a fighting event, it's one thing for that to occur and people to, to take some notice on that. And quite frankly, when I say that, I mean a shooting to occur at such an event. It's just like going to a rap concert and finding out that somebody got shot, or going to some, event, at a nightclub and people, they got shot at a black nightclub. Really? I mean, I've been hearing that since I was able to go to nightclubs. People would ask me all the time, Kevin, why don't you go clubbing more? I go, why? Why would I go clubbing? Let me tell you why. Why I would say this. I'd say, so I go to a club and I'm just having a good time. There's a beef between, two guys and over some girl, or two girls over some guy. Stuff happens. Boom, people get shot. I read about it once a quarter, practically my entire life. So I want to go to that. Or worse yet, there's a gang beef. Two dudes that are gangbangers see each other at a club, which, by the way, is unfortunate, but happens a lot in black clubs. And I'm going to go to that. Or, you go somewhere, you're making eye contact, and some dude goes, why you mean mugging me? I'm not mean mugging you. And you end up fighting or getting shot over something like that. Why would I put myself in circumstances like that? I tell you what, why don't I just move back to the hood, too? I'll just move to North St. Louis. I'll wear some gang colors, and I don't know, I'll figure something out. I'll figure out another way for me to get killed. I'll tell people I always keep lots of money on me. How about that? And I have no bodyguards. Anyway, the point is, there was a shooting in Vegas. No harm, no foul. We know exactly what's going to happen. But then there's this new shooting that occurred. And as I said, the moment it happened, I said to myself, all right, for a fact that people immediately wondered, is this a Muslim shooting? Is it a radical Muslim terrorist act? Now, what's interesting about it is, as we're looking at the story, my first report on it was, hey, congratulations, lefties. It's a 64-year-old white dude named Stephen Paddock. You can feel some sense of relief because these suckers breathe a sigh of relief. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy his name is not Ahmed, Muhammad, Ali, whatever. They were ecstatic. And so 64-year-old white dude from Mesquite, Nevada, checks into a hotel, the Mandalay Bay, 30-something floor, and starts raining down gunfire on people. I saw the video, heard it. Yeah, I mean, you could see the video, but you couldn't really see what was going on. But you could hear, and I mean, it's going on and on for seconds. And people are like, what's that? And the guys, I think it's gunfire. And I tried to imagine myself in a circumstance where you're going, you know what, I'm at a concert. Woo, let's go get who's going to buy the beer. I got this round. And you're just there to enjoy yourself. You're in Vegas, for goodness sake. And the next thing you know, place is being shot up. When the realization hits these people, one guy goes, that sounds like gunfire. And then a lady goes, get down, get down. So then they get down. Then two more long bursts. I'm talking about last 4 or 5 seconds. Now I don't know if you know much about weapons, but an automatic weapon can lay down what they call suppressing fire. Enough where you can't get up and go, okay, I'm going to poke my head up and shoot a couple times. Pop, 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 doesn't give you time. So this thing is raining out bullets. And the only reason why this dude's stopping is to reload his magazine. Now, I know people, Kevin, you're giving the gun nuts permission. No, I'm going somewhere with this. Believe me. First of all, that weapon is illegal. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way. Yes, I'm not even going into gun control. It's ridiculous. He hadn't had a gun. Okay, what if he'd had an 18-wheeler? Could he have killed as many people? I don't know how many people. It was the guy, the body count in Nice, I believe it was Nice, where the Muslim guy drove the truck, ended up being something like 87 people, and he wounded many, many others, dozens if not hundreds. So we're talking about the same thing. I'm not going to get into these discussions. Guns are legal. They should always be legal. That's that. But this guy has an illegal weapon. And he's gone up to the Mandalay Bay, the 30-something floor, and he's going to shoot people. And he does. The original count, when they first put the story out, was 200 wounded. Then it went to 400 wounded. The original count's 50 dead. I'm telling you, it's going to be more than 50 dead, and it'll be more than 400 wounded when it's all said and done. This guy was just raining down fire. So what did we know initially? We knew he wasn't, he supposedly wasn't Muslim, named Stephen Paddock, white dude, lived in multiple places, California and Nevada, mostly Nevada. And then something happened. And then there was another person involved. Her name was Mary Lou Danley, who's his, I don't know, paramour of some sort. So she's involved, and they don't know how much is she involved. So that was the initial story. When we come back, we'll talk more about it.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's a Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. 844-551-8255. Just getting around to talking about this Vegas shooting on the heels of a ton of other things that are going on in the news. Puerto Rico. Big issues with Puerto Rico. We've got the football stuff that's still looming out there and Donald Trump dealing with those guys. And, of course, we've got the major issues. Donald Trump's introduced his tax plan and so on and so forth. I said of this shooting, there was a big collective sigh of relief that the shooter wasn't Muslim, but the word is not completely out on that yet. So we'll leave that there. Then the question is, well, is he a Democrat? And I'll get to that in just a bit. ISIS, of course, is trying to see if they can take credit for the man now that he's Anglo. Late night so-called comedians are trying to link the man to Donald Trump. You know that, right? And, of course, Hillary Clinton is trying to link the man to the Russians, particularly Putin, and then linking him to Trump. And the guy who's probably most happy that Stephen Paddock shot up Vegas and created a massacre there, the biggest mass shooting in American history, I'm told, is Roger Goodell. Because he's out of the football team is now off the thing for a while. You know, the NFL and the kneeling and all these other things. And we'll get to that too, because there's some things that need to be discussed there. So one leftist tweeted, she prayed that only Trump tards were killed. That's a story that I want to talk a little bit more about. So is this guy Muslim? I don't know. There were rumors that he converted to Islam and did this. I want you to try to put you in the head of a person who says, hey, I'm going to go shoot up a group of people in Las Vegas for no reason. Which, by the way, rappers had to be perplexed. Because we're so used, the rappers are so used to the carnage happening outside of their concerts. And here they get the word, somebody's like, dude, in Vegas, dude just shot and killed 50 people, got 400 people wounded. And they're like, who was playing there, Jay-Z? They're like, no, man, it was a country act. And a white dude, and these dudes started smoking their blunts and sipping that Courvoisier going, hey, here's to the white man. Here's to Stephen Paddock. Maybe, just maybe, Mark Lamont Hill and some of those other race pimps will actually bring up Stephen Paddock and the carnage that he created in Las Vegas at a country and western concert for no reason whatsoever, unprovoked. The other thing that was talked about was this woman that was with Stephen Paddock. And what's interesting about the story is some people say, well, she was out of the country. And then another girl said, no, that's not true. She said, this lady came up to us and she warned us that you're all going to die. Now, I don't know if this is a case of, like the wanting to be in the news so bad you just make it up. But she seemed legit. That's all I can say. But I look back on the crimes that were committed, not the crime because Officer Wilson was vindicated, but when Darren Wilson shot Michael Brown Jr. and everybody said, he walked up to that man, shot him in cold blood. He shot him in cold blood. And it turned out to be the biggest lie. But this young girl, she's interviewed because people were writing to me, Kevin, you shouldn't be saying it, that this is what happened and all this, that, and the other. And I'm like, look. We were reporting breaking news, and somebody said that the woman, her name is Marilou Danley, was the one who was with Stephen Paddock, and that she had gone around to warn people that they were going to die. That was a tweet that came out. Then they shot video of a girl who said, yes, a woman 45 minutes before this happened said you're going to die. Security escorted her out. Now, was it Marilou Danley? Was it a different woman? Who knows? I don't know. And people are like, oh, you can't report on. I'm reporting what people are saying. Not to mention, I'm not a journalist. Everything I say today about this case, I want you to understand I don't know jack. But here's what I do know. The information I have, I can make the best assumptions and the best presumptions than anybody on the planet. So they say this lady was warning people. I say to you, a lot of people do that. People don't want to just let something happen. They want to go, yeah, you've been warned. That's classical serial killer, mass murderer type stuff. And when I say, I'm talking about like not like Jeffrey Dahmer, where he's going out warning gay people, you could be one, you could be my dinner. I'm talking about people that want to do something. They usually say, don't be at the ball game on Thursday. So it's highly likely that this woman did do something like that. If a woman is hanging out with a dude who's planning such an event, it's highly likely that she's as deranged as he is. So we're just making a lot of assumptions. We're no different than seeing friggin' in, are we? They don't have any, when's the last time you got a story from these people and you went, oh man, they gave us all the facts and all the facts were up there. It doesn't happen very often. So why were people, oh my gosh, I don't know. Are you kidding? We were told that she warned everybody, you're all going to die. Mary Lou Danley. Do I know that definitively? I know what I saw this girl say. And she was convincing to me. But again, there were many people convinced with the Michael Brown situation that the cop had done what they said. But but here's the thing about me. I'm not jumping to a conclusion one way or the other. I just told you in the post, this is what the woman said, and here's the interview, so you don't think it's conjecture. And people are like, Kevin, you have to worry about your reputation in case you report to her. Look, I'm not on Fox. If I was reporting this on Fox, it would be very different. I'm reporting the rumor and innuendo because I think that it's important that you have all of it, including rumor and innuendo. That's how you're going to make the best decision. And I know that may seem people, no, I only want the facts. Bull. Nobody only wants the facts. People want the facts and they want you to give me some sort of reference. Maybe you're a psychologist. You go, that's very normal for people to do that. I believe it is anyway. I talked earlier. I said, consider the planning that went into this, whether this woman knew about it or not. This guy, did he know that this concert was going on? Did he target this particular event? Why did he choose country? Why? Because a country audience is mostly a white audience. That's why, it lends into the narrative of potentially it's an Islamic deal. And people are like, well, Kevin, there you go. You can't jump to conclusions. Sure you can. You can jump to conclusions and say this fits the profile of a Islamic terrorist attack. You'd be crazy not to think that. And then he goes up, he shoots from on high, which is smart. And ironically, one of the security guys said, we actually kind of loaded people into the kill zone, by accident. More when we get back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, author of Race Pimping, the Multi-Trillion-Dollar Business of Liberalism. But it's not all about race. Liberals will pimp anything. They, as they say, let no crisis go to waste. And that's exactly what we have here, is we have a crisis. This is Barack Obama presided over so many mass shootings. Nothing of this, this magnitude, because it's the biggest, supposedly, in our history. So I guess the first one was just got supplanted, was this one at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando where they targeted gays. And gays actually were afraid at this point because they were like, we see the Muslim issue that's going on in America. And so many of them, I don't know what percentage, but quite a few said, we understand this Donald Trump thing. When you stop thinking about with just your naughty bits and say, I'm a human being, you start looking at people trying to save your life. Saw a story the other day where in Germany, they have Muslim gangs that are going around hunting for gays to kill. And this lady was outraged over it. Well, now what do we got? We got people in America now going around hunting for country music lovers? I'm not trying to make light of this shooting. My heart goes out to these people. Serious business. But I'm just saying, if it turns out that this man, Stephen Paddock, is a convert to Islam and he shot these folks knowing that these are white people gathered together, he knew it'd be white folks. He didn't shoot up a Jay-Z concert or something like that, did he? Of course not. So, what they were targeting white people. Is anybody going to speak up? Is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People going to take care of its white colored people? I doubt it. Because nobody cares. Look, this thing has all the trappings. 64-year-old white man shooting up something. Man, the left, when they were like, oh, Lord, it ain't a Muslim, they were salivating. Maybe this guy could be connected to Trump, the Tea Party, whatever. Tough to believe Tea Party people would go shoot up a country concert. So they don't know what to think. And I'm telling you, the guy's a Democrat. I believe that. I'll talk about it a little bit later. Right now, I want to talk about this leftist teacher and her tweet about this massacre. Essentially, she said, pray that only Trump-tards die. Now, the good news here is that she does believe in God. Little g God. She's praying to something. See, this is what I love that this exposes about the left. There is never, you would never out of my mouth, and I believe out of yours, in any tragedy whatsoever would I say, I pray that only conservatives survive. Or I pray that only leftists, people who supported Barack Obama, would be killed. Said no true conservative ever. Not a Christian conservative. And I think that they're all, the numbers are, in other words, that nomenclature is the same. When you say conservative, for me, you're saying Christian conservative. I would never do that. Leftists do it all the time. See, because they pray to a little God. That could be the God of marijuana. It could be the God of meth. It could be the God of heroin. It could be the God of lust, envy, greed, you name it. But they have multiple gods. And this God apparently is discerning. They pray to a God that's willing to wipe out conservatives, Trump-tards, as she put it. Hey, I don't care if she calls people Trump-tards. I call them lib-turds all the time. But I would never pray that a lib-turd was killed under any circumstances. Not to my God with the big G. But this leftist teacher prayed for that on her now deleted Twitter account. And this is a tragedy that's claimed well over 50 lives. The body count well into the hundreds. Who knows where it ends up? Started out at 200, went to 400, went over 500. Who knows? I mean, the only thing we can know is if they give us a full accounting of the number of people there, they say it's 2,000-3,000 people, we know it won't get any higher than that. But the body count keeps going up, and it will go up because there are people in surgery who are going to be in surgery for a while. And these are people whose lives have been changed forever. I always say it's one thing to get shot and you're killed and people remember you. It's another when you get shot and you've had a life and that life is now over as you've seen it. Reminds me of my buddy Jay Redmond, who's got an amazing charity, Combat Warriors. You should check it out. It used to be called Wounded Wear. And Jay is a Navy SEAL, good-looking guy, Chippendale good looks, makes it through BUDS, gets deployed. He's a lieutenant, leading his squad, his SEAL team into harm's way. They get ambushed. Jay gets shot in the face, half his face ripped off, his left arm, and Jay is no longer the dude who he when he went to the military, this is the guy you didn't want to mess with. Now, Jay's not that same guy. And the thing is mentally he is. Mentally you will not defeat him. But he's no longer that guy physically. And he understands that. And I want you to think of what it took for him to have to make this career change. This is a guy going through airports and people looking at him thinking he got hit by a car, which made him start the wounded wear because he started wearing shirts that says, "I'm a Navy SEAL. I got this way defending your life. Don't feel sorry for me." And then people started coming up shaking his hand. That's who that guy is. So there are people whose lives are going to be changed forever. But I mentioned that football player who was ducking and running out the casino when the shooting occurred during the Mayweather fight. Well, you know what the law enforcement officers and the ex-military were doing in Vegas? They were running to the gunfire. They were trying to figure out what was happening. When they couldn't do that, they were saving people, jumping in front of them. These are the people that the football players decided they were going to protest. And we'll get back to the football players in a bit. I just want you to understand, while football players hear gunshots and start ducking and running, when law enforcement and military hear gunshots, they start looking for people to help. And they will not take a knee during the national anthem. Let's just be clear about this. Anyway, this teacher, she tweets, her name is The Resistance, and she spells Resistance with the capital Ann because her name is Ann, and then her name on Twitter, I guess, is Ann, she wouldn't put her last name, #The Resistance. And she tweeted on this tragedy. Lots of white Trump supporters in Las Vegas at Route 21 watching Jason Aldean. Pray only Trump tards died. Wow. And then the backlash started. The Columbia Bugle took a screenshot of this tweet before she had a chance to delete it. And not surprisingly, that's exactly what Ann, #The Resistance, did. Then she disabled her Twitter account. Unfortunately for her, people document this stuff. They keep up with it because, you know what? We're sick of it. Her graphic shows her she's a grandmother. She's holding a little baby. Yeah, how cute. Ooh, she just seems like such an all-American, Midwestern, whatever, when in fact, that little quaint photo hides the demon behind that tweet. On her own Twitter page, she touted herself as teacher, mother, sister, woman. Easy to see, folks. She's a feminist. Vile human being. Didn't say daughter because that would imply she had a father. No, she's a teacher, a mother, a sister, and a woman. Good for her. Her tweets denote the language of a vile bottom feeder. And the loving and tolerant left always prove to you to be anything but. And the shooter, they say, he's not linked to terror groups and all that. This may very well be the dude who is a lone wolf killer. But to wish that this man had shot certain people, or that the people that he shot, only certain one of them died, I just find vile beyond belief. None of these people deserve to die. They all had issues because they're human beings. They have issues. And as much as I can detest the left and their political ideologies and the people that get hurt sometimes in the wake of it, I don't wish them to die. I wish them to go away. I'm going to do my part. I hope you will too, to help. But the fact that a teacher, folks, would wish death upon a crowd filled with men, women, and children is incomprehensible. It's like the James Hodgkinson, you know him, he's the guy that shot up the baseball game that put Scalise in the hospital. What was he doing? Hunting Republicans. I suspect this guy was hunting Republicans, hunting conservatives. That's why he attacked that concert. And this teacher, I want you to focus on this. This is a teacher, a person teaching your children, wants you dead.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. So a guy by the name of Jorge Avila, he said this of the Vegas shooting. Stephen Paddock, the Las Vegas shooter, is a consequence of the hatred that Donald Trump has awakened, not just in the U.S., but the world. And it cracks me up when leftists take these types of tragedies and they immediately want to assign it to somebody. It's like that stupid Holly weirdo, I forget, Hunger Games girl, who decided that she was going to make the hurricanes about Donald Trump, a wrath of the Trump voter. You know, really? So, look, as much as I disliked Obama's policies, I don't care about Obama. Me personally, I don't like Obama. It didn't come up, it didn't start out that way. I didn't care one way or other about Obama. I cared about his politics. As I got to know him as president, I find him to be a vile creature. I don't think there's nothing about Obama that I like. People are like, Kevin, would you want to meet him? Why would I want to meet Barack Obama? We almost got invited to the White House under Obama, and I made sure they knew I wouldn't go. I wrote back and said I'd issue a press release that says I was invited, but I will not go. I have no respect for Barack Obama, not only on a policy issue, but this was around 2000, maybe 12 or so. I don't remember, but they wanted to invite a bunch of black conservatives and journalists to the White House. And I was like, I won't go. And there were black people, man, I'll go, shoot, get invited to the White House. If I got invited to the White House, if Barack Obama says, I want to talk policy with you guys, and I've seen the error of my ways, and we need to really address these issues. And you know what? Black conservatives, you have taken the brunt of racial insensitivity from black leftists, and it's time we put an end to that. I would have happily gone to that discussion. But he didn't do that. And so as I learned more about Barack Obama, there's nothing about him that I like. In the end, the left made sure that I didn't like him. I didn't like his policies. I don't like his attitude. I don't like that he dismissed the Republicans and said, I don't need to meet with them. I don't like that he called the Tea Parties up. Well, who are they? Acted like he didn't know who we were. I don't like the many elements of the way he did things. I don't like that he told people that he was going to have to give up his life as president, and then he went out and he acted as if he wasn't even president. This dude took vacations. He played golf. He hobnobbed with the rich and famous. He built a career on the backs of the American taxpayers. And then left us holding the bag. $20 trillion of debt almost. A deficit that beyond belief. More money than countries spend in decades. We spend in a year. And nothing to show for it. Racial strife beyond belief. I could go on. No, I don't like him. I become, hardened towards the guy because he's a liar. He's a dude that'll tell you what you want to hear, and then he goes and does exactly the opposite, and he's slick about it. We all know somebody like him. You might even have a member in your family. I did. We had a couple of them. But anyway, I want to move on. I want to talk about this Vegas shooter being a Democrat. And people are like, Kevin, how do you know? Let me just tell you, I don't know. It isn't like I watched him vote. I didn't go pull his voter records. I'm just telling you a few things. One, most conservatives have too much time. We don't have enough time on our hands to go try to plot mass murder. Number 2, we're not going to shoot up a country and western. Number 3, we don't tend to do illegal things like make our rifles into automatic weapons in order to go kill country folk, listening to country music. And I could go on. Right now, we live in a time where, we've seen enough. We watch Hodgkinson go shoot up the Republicans playing softball or baseball. That should be all you need to see to know that it takes nothing to set these people off. Leftists are on a hair trigger squeeze at everything. And right now with Donald Trump as president, it certainly didn't cross my mind that it wasn't somebody, related to the left. Radical Islamist, or if it is a white dude, and it turned out that it was, a radical white Democrat. So he was a older white man. They say the average mass shooter is 35 years old. I couldn't find any data to back that up. But the data that I did find, the research that I was able to get, I don't have a reason to doubt the number. They talked about things like domestic violence and chemically, jacked up, that kind of stuff. Tends to be younger generation, the Ritalin kids, right? So, again, no surprise there, but does it really matter? He's a white dude, older white cat. More to learn, but he was seeing a woman by the name of Mary Lou Danley, which we talked about earlier on, and she was described as Asian, and I'm going to take the media's word for it. She looks Asian to me, but she could be Mexican, she could be, whatever. She could be a variety of things. She might even profess to being a black man for all I know. Now, interestingly, we came up on some graphics from her Facebook page, and I can give you a couple more updates about her. So, in the one graphic, she's posed on a boat, kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm in my new boots and my black outfit, and she's taking, not a glamour shot, but the shot's meant to be seductive. So, somebody takes a picture, she's smiling, and then a little bit further down, you see that it's her husband. She's married. And the guy's name is Gary Daniel. Geary. He probably pronounces it Gary. Anyway, Gary Danley. And in all caps on December 22nd of 2016 at 6:59 p.m., he says, very pretty, enjoy the holidays. GD. Gary Danley. So, anyway, it appears that her husband and she are either separated or they don't celebrate the holidays together. So my question was, given that she's, quote, Asian, and that was the press that said it, was this one of these marriages that was a ruse for citizenship? I don't know. So then we went to Gary's page, and a couple things. One, he says married. He's got there married to Mary Lou Danley. And then the second thing is, he's a leftist, because he's got a piece on there where he is a fan of the Rachel Maddow show. Big fan. And his likes on his page, like, what do you like? What TV shows? Oh, Rachel Maddow, she's the bomb, or he's the bomb, or what's Rachel? Is that dude with the girl's name? Anyway, Rachel Maddow. Now, this doesn't prove that Danley's wife is a leftist, but it does suggest it. Because the majority of us choose people that we're what we call equally yoked to. And, of course, I want to say this. Gary Danley has nothing to do with the shooting in Vegas. But there's another twist. The Daily Wire had reported that Paddock only used Danley's identification because she's out of the country. But the twist is, Danley, Mary Lou, supposedly warned people that the shooting was going to come. She went up to people and said, you're all going to die. And supposedly security escorted her out saying, okay, she's a crazy woman talking about everybody's all going to die. So I don't, it's tough to know what's real. And so again, people are like, well, Kevin, you can't say this. Yeah, I can. I can report. I'm reporting it just like I'm doing this radio show. I don't know whether this lady is truly overseas. This story doesn't have a whole lot. The only part of the story that matters to me is the fact that dozens of people have been killed, hundreds of people have been injured, and we're not talking about the human tragedy of it, which is all we should be focused on, because that would help us solve the problem. That would help us look into the pathology of not Gary Daniel, he's not associated, of Stephen Paddock, and prevent this. But the left doesn't want that. In fact, they encourage this. They are looking at this. They're going to see, well, we can get gun control. He's probably off of his meds. We can get people registered, as stupid people and all this other stuff. They're not looking at it from the human tragedy side. Oh, they'll try to fool you into believing that they are, but they're not. But these people, when it's all said and done, you'll find out he's a hardcore leftist who used that automatic machine gun in order to make a point. He wanted to show us, look, this is what can happen if you don't do something about gun control. And then he shot up a bunch of white folks because he knows they're not going to complain. I don't know. Those are my theories around this. I'm positive this guy's a Democrat. If I'm proven to be wrong, I'll let you know. We'll be back.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you're with me. The team is called the Rebels, and the band was playing Dixie. And these group of youngsters, high schoolers in the South, ran onto the football field holding American flags. And I'm sure you've seen the video of it. If you haven't, you should. It will bring joy to your belly, joy to your heart, joy to your mind, to see these kids doing this. In fact, I saw another story where two black kids tried to take a knee in a high school football game. Coach kicked them off the team. Good for that coach. Hero to me. But I want to go back to this team in the South that played Dixie as their team. Was a lot of black kids ran out onto that field with that American flag and showed patriotism beyond belief. Good for them. Let me tell you what that means, folks. That shows you that there was a time during the last 8 years under Barack Obama where I don't even believe that would have happened. I believe if Obama had been president right now, the NFL would be so progressive at this point. People, the sponsors would be loving these clowns. The entire teams would all be taking a knee during the anthem. We'd be talking about not playing the anthem. There'd be things like, well, you know what, we should just not play it. They've already said, well, the teams that used to, they just would stay in the locker room. Well, why? Then they said, no, it was good PR, good marketing for the NFL to show that these guys, stood for the flag. Yeah, they stood for it as long as the NFL made money. That just covered up the little Band-Aid that's been brewing. By the way, not just through the NFL, through all companies. Pay me enough money, I'll say what you want me to say. That's the Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton way. Pay people to be patriotic. Pay people to be, to pretend that they're, meeting compliance and all these other things. We shouldn't even have to. Look, you should be patriotic. You should be all about your company. Nobody should have to pay you for that. When I worked as an engineer, they didn't say, Kevin, look, you're a black guy. If you will really be, pro company and black and say something, we'll give you a $10,000 bonus. I mean, I'd have taken it, but I'd have been like, okay, if you want to give me this free money, because look, if I work for your company, I want to do the best. I have a guy right now, Kirk. He helps me with the radio show. We have a lot of people. You guys already know Brett. He co-hosts the show or guest hosts the show. And Kurt is a hard worker. Very Christian man. Was about to make it big in the music industry and stopped. Was opening for the biggest bands in America. and he stopped because he found God. But for him, we talked about this. God says, do your best. If you have a job, do your best. Work as if you are working for the Almighty himself. That's the way you should treat your work. Go toil in the field. So, work my butt off, not because somebody gives me money or whatever. But the NFL's got to be paid to be, I tell you what, we'll add that to our deal. Will you pay us $11 million to come stand for the anthem? And then they go sit. They take a knee. Well, these kids ran out. They didn't have to be paid to run out with American flags. That's why I love little kid sports. But then there's a whole other group of kids. We talked about these guys taking the knee. 8-year-olds taking the knee. All these high schoolers run out with the flags. Oh, yeah, pro-Americana. And what's funny about it is it's happened in the South. The racist South. Let me tell you where the most racist part of the country is. It's the West Coast. It's the Northeast. Yeah. The West Coast and the Northeast are the most racist parts of this country. And there are some parts of the country in the Northwest that are racist, but they're stupid racist. They don't even know it. Like these Portland and Seattle racists. They think, oh, we're helping black people. We're not helping black people. They think they are. In the North, they're just blatantly racist. Yeah, especially that Northeast corridor like D.C. and Baltimore and all that. They love their Planned Parenthoods in black neighborhoods. They love keeping blacks in complete and abject stupidity. They love that black folks are trained. They're taught and trained. It's influenced. It is emphasized to be anti-American. They love it. Look at who's sitting on these football fields. It isn't some white kids that are going, I'm down with you, man. This white kids are looking at them going, what? These white players, these brothers are sitting down on that football field, trained, literally like trained monkeys to be exactly what Margaret Sanger wanted. She loves, if Margaret Sanger was alive today, she would be secretly meeting with Kaepernick, telling him, thank you, son. Thank you for what you're doing. You're doing exactly what I want you to do. You're fooling black people into believing that there's misery all over the place. I was on TV on some guy, Steve Hilton. He's on the weekend. I didn't even know who the dude was. He's that British guy that comes on the weekends. And he gives a monologue, and I grew up in Britain, and we know that oppression is happening in America, and I'm coming on. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What oppression in America are you talking about? I said, you're talking about the 1960s. You are not talking about Y2K17, my friend, when there are examples on top of examples of black achievement and a nation that we built. And you want me to feel bad about a nation that I built that you now live in? You wanted to come here from you're from England. You would think you're the cradle of civilization. You taught us about democratic republics. And so you're here now, and you want to look at this situation and go, oh, black people are oppressed. No, we're not. I didn't even see his side of the interview. From what I'm told, he was just like, what? But I listened to his preamble and went, I don't agree with you. Because it was crazy to listen to this guy. So anyway, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, the Vegas shooting will still be something we'll discuss a bit because we've got a bit more information, but that's not... Okay, big deal. To me, there's so many other things to talk about under the backdrop of all of these things. And what's interesting about this Vegas thing is there is no color angle for the left. The only possible outcome in this story is the left ends up looking bad. If it turns out this guy is a Muslim, if it turns out that he is a Democrat, and I suspect that he may very well still be both of those. But if it turns out anything, he's bad. There's no upside for them because white people were killed by a white dude. The only thing they could possibly say is, well, Kevin, you've been talking about black on black crime. All right, there you go.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. You know what I really like about Donald Trump? He gets somewhat into the, I don't want to call it minutia, because it isn't minutia when dozens of people are killed and hundreds are injured in one of the world's destination for tourism on his watch. By the way, something he definitely inherited from Barack Obama, which is mass shootings, because Barack Obama was the king of the mass shooting. Man, more on his watch than all the other presidents combined almost. So it is a minutia, but this is a guy that's got lots of things on his plate. And when things happen, Trump immediately comes out, boom, quote, here's my tweet. We stand by you, Vegas, blah, blah, blah. Now, we posted a tweet. Somebody named Donald Trumper did it. But I got to tell you, it fooled me at first because it was so on point to what Trump would say. So apparently somebody's having fun mimicking the president, but he didn't say anything silly. But it was when Trump did come out and say something about it, President Trump, then suddenly, it was spot on. It was like exactly what he would say. The guys are cowards for doing. The guy who did it is a coward. We'll get to the bottom of it, and go Vegas. You'll be back stronger. And it's true. So anyway, very tragic situation. It really is that these guys would, that somebody would shoot up this group of people that are. The thing that bugs me about that is it makes every parent in the country worry about their children going to events. You worry a little bit about going to events. I mean, it's the obvious outcome. It's what terror does. I want to read something from a viewer. I was on TV talking about this NFL stuff, and we're going to bounce back and forth because there's just too many issues going on. And also there's a couple of stories that I wanted to get to last week that they don't have a shelf life, but they're weird stories that I just find kind of interesting. But this one, a viewer, I'll call it a Fox viewer, said this. Good morning. I just listened to you tell a group of TV anchors that blacks were told or raised to hate America. I believe this was a misleading comment. I was not raised to hate America. And most blacks that I know dislike the racist ways of America and the world, but they don't hate America. I wasn't raised to hate anyone, and my family wasn't either. I'm praying for those who promote hate. Why raise our kids to hate? You can't fight hate with hate. The country lacks love and empathy for humanity. Have a great day. Just my thoughts. Dr. Grover. And I said, I appreciate your comments, but I suggest you do a bit more research. You have been taught to hate all your life. In a time of a black president last 8 years, who would believe we would still discuss racism? Black Lives Matter trumps all lives matter. Since when? The NAACP still exists as if America remains some draconian country. Blacks succeed all over the place, but not a day goes by when we aren't blaming whites. White privilege is preached. Black angst is taught from kindergarten to college. Entire curricula dedicated to teaching blacks how bad America is, how bad America has been towards black people. Woe is me. There is no sunshine. The light at the end of the tunnel is a train, and I could go on. And I said, I dare you to research how many blacks do not believe in the flag, how many blacks openly say they hate America or won't stand for the national anthem. I dare you to go look it up and think that this is some anecdotal thing. Look at the number of players on the football field prior to Kaepernick who never stood for the anthem, put their hand over there. I mean, they may have stood for it, but they look down, they look around, they move around, they stretch. They don't put their hand over their heart. They have zero interest in this country except their own personal gain. There is no ask not what this country can do for you, blah, blah, blah. It's all about them. And woe is me. And even when they're getting over, we've got a picture of Kaepernick standing in front of a car. I don't even know the make of the car. It's that exotic. He's in front of a fat house. It's obviously his house. This house is worth millions. And if you just take that picture and you say, this is oppression? We've got black people going over to London, England, playing football, talking about how oppressed they are, while half the people, 3 billion people plus on this planet, live on less than $3.50 a day. Let's just make it $5 to be on the safe side. And they go over talking about oppression. These people make more in an hour than most people in the world make in a year. And they want to try to tell the world how oppressed they are as black people living in America. How insane is that? I said, you hear things like, not my country. Recently, I watched Charles Woodson, former defensive back for various professional football organizations, and he discussed Francis Scott Key as a slave-owning racist, the guy who wrote the national anthem, and said it as if, well, how could you sing the song of a racist? Well, I would say the same thing of any white dude singing a song of Jay-Z or singing of Ice-T and Cop Killers and all these other things. Really? How could you say, oh, well, how are you going to sing a song by Chris Brown? He's a wife beater. Put another way, folks, a multimillionaire former football player, Charles Woodson, still laments the country that provides him everything. This country, she said, talked about the lack of love and empathy for humanity. And I said to her, this country lacks nothing of the sort. We are nothing but empathetic. I don't know what she's talking about. We are empathetic to the cause of freedom all over the globe. We are empathetic to any natural disaster that occurs, even man-made disasters. We are empathetic to people who are being oppressed by their governments. We are the most empathetic. Who's this person? What planet is she from? I said, this country gives and gives, and people like you view America through the prism of blackness without an ounce of consideration as to where you can do better. So please tell me where that country exists. Because of the 53 countries in Africa, I doubt that you would trade any of them for America. How many blacks do you know that go back to Africa every year fighting to get there. Because I can tell you this, undoubtedly, thousands, tens of thousands of Africans fight every year to get to America, to get on that lottery, to get to this country. And they would do anything to get here, and they would do anything to stay here. And in fact, we've got a story about these students that are mad about the African Americans the Africans at Cornell University. They say there's too many.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. So, shifting gears a little bit between the Vegas thing, the shooting. Had a friend of mine say that friends of hers who are flight attendants happened to be in Vegas at the time, and they're still unaccounted for. So we will hopefully get good news about that. Because, boy, I got to tell you, I was thinking about that Ariana Grande concert. Remember the one that got shot up was it in Paris? And all these things make me think of terror, because it's just an act of terror. When you go somewhere, it's like a movie theater. You go to the movies and boom, he got shot up. Well, I think that was in Colorado. And so for some time, you're like, I don't know if I should go in a movie theater. When they flew the planes into the World Trade Center, how many of us were leery of flying for some time? My hand's up. So these are not little things. Things like this last for quite a while. They've got hotlines out for this stuff. And let me tell you, the people who went and the families affected, you better know those folks are concerned. Look, I can sit here and tell you, I don't have many family that listen to country music. I don't even know who this act is, to be honest with you. So I'm pretty clear on I don't have any family there. Did I have friends there? Just told you, friends of a friend. So don't know who's there, and you never know. You never know. God, it's sad. And it's sad because we've ushered, they say Donald Trump's the cause. The left know that's not the case. They are the cause of this. They brew so much hate inside of people. And again, we don't know this knucklehead's motivation. Who knows if we'll know it completely? We don't know it. We can only speculate. But let me tell you something. The people that do this type of thing, generally speaking, are not God-fearing. They're not Christians. They're ideologues that are so bent on making you understand the way they think. And I'm telling you, almost to a person, anybody that's willing to go to that length on the ideology tends to be a leftist. They will not listen. You cannot reason with these folks. You've probably tried with the majority of them. I'm not going to say all of them. But when you look at the guy that shot up the Republican baseball game. I mean, can you imagine what's going through your mind? You're sitting at home and you go, man, I know they're going to play that Republican baseball game. And he's just seething with anger. I don't know. I'm not trying to politicize this. I'm just giving you observations. The Democrats are playing a game. We had won. I mean, in terms of the election. But let's go back to the 8 years they played that very same game. We were seething with not anger, but surprise and regret and humiliation and a lot of other things for Barack Obama being president. And they played that game 8 years, particularly after 2008 and after 2012. And I don't think there was a conservative in this country who was like, man, if I could just get to that baseball game and shoot up a bunch of Democrats, life would be good. We just sucked it up and we went along our merry way and we kicked their butts again in 2014, and then we really showed them in 2016. That's our reaction. And these are the people that tell you that the Donald Trump rallies, they beat people up. As they're beating people up outside of the rallies, paying people, goons, to show up. A friend of mine said they were at their union rally for something, transportation, and they were trying to vote another guy in, and the goons were there in such a degree that they said, wow, there were people in fear. They were ready to leave the convention. And you know what? I'm proud to say they stayed. But you sit here and you go, this is the left. They will try to anything they can to get you to capitulate. But they accuse Trump's supporters of beating people up. Then election night occurred. I was in D.C., not like the inauguration, and they're burning stuff, man. They're trying to terrorize. Antifa strikes. Black Lives Matter goes to kill cops. And they tell you, look at all the things you guys do. You're mean people. Really? In comparison to what? What are you talking about? It's just it's incredible that they get away with this. It really is. That's not even what I want to talk about. I mean, it's easy to segue into the violence, the violent nature of these people. It's very easy. I'm going to talk about Chicago in just a second, but I want to put it into the context of something that I said a while back with these NFL knuckleheads. And I said that these are people taking a knee in order to say that they're fighting the injustice that occurs in this country. And in practically every city where an NFL game is played, within 2 or 3 days of that game, somebody black has killed somebody else black, or somebody black has killed somebody white. It's rare that cops kill people. There are 13 million interactions with cops roughly every year in this country. And there are roughly 900 shootings. 13 million interaction, 900 shootings. And of those 900 shootings, less than 200 of them are black folks. Far less. And that's what they talk about as injustice, as they take a knee. Anyway, let's talk about these guys. Sunday night football. Several members of the Seattle Seahawks chose to sit before the Sunday night football the game kicked off, while the Indianapolis Colts decided to link arms in a show of unity for equality and racial justice. See, the NFL's not learning a thing in any of this. The results, they say, saw the Colts get crushed. Seattle scored a blowout, 46-18 win. Whether it's politics or the final score or a mix of both, it was no win for NBC and the NFL last night. And I'm going to get into the stats in a second. But here's the bigger picture of this. The bigger picture of this is some of the players who stood, I'm told, raised their fist. Cam Newton was one of them. You remember him, the loser in the Super Bowl that he was supposed to win the other year? Yeah, that guy, he raises his fist. That's going to be the new symbol. We'll stand, but we'll raise our fists. Like Tommy Smith in the 1968 Olympics. Who was it? I forget the other guy. Both of them amazing quarter milers. But they raised their fist, and they should have raised their fist in protest in 1968. Because Democrats were whooping black people's heads. When I see raised fists today, I'm like, shut up. What are you raising your fist for? You raising your fist because LeBron James might be the first billionaire sports figure? You raising your fist because of Tiger Woods' domination of sports and his worldwide adulation? You raising your fist because of all the other pro athletes that are, that dominate practically every sport? You raising your fist for that? What are you raising your fist for? Oprah Winfrey being the preeminent talk show host? I mean, when you think talk show, you think Oprah Winfrey. When you raise your fist, you're raising it for Samuel L. Jackson, you're raising it for Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, Viola Davis? Who? Will Smith? Who are you raising it for? You raising it for Dr. Ben Carson, sitting on the president's cabinet? What's her name? Omarosa? Right-hand people to the president of the United States? Who are you raising your fist for? Equality of what? I keep asking all these black folks that want to be militant, tell me where you want to live. I guarantee you there's a white person in this country who will send you there and set you up because they don't want to hear it. And for those of you who stay, you know what they do? They say, shut the heck up. This country's done nothing but deliver. Let's go in these stats real quick. So they say it wasn't good. With 11 out of 19 in metered market results, last night, Sunday Night Football was down 5% from last week when the Redskins beat the Raiders 27-10. As the league took another week-by-week ratings hit just a month into the 2017 season. Sunday's game was also down a bit year to year, compared with the then season low Pittsburgh Steelers 43-14 smackdown of the Chiefs on August 2nd of 2016, which dipped 2% in early numbers. So let me just wrap it up here for you. Last year it took a dip. This year it took a bigger dip. That's it in a nutshell. And I want to go into some of the other stuff here in a minute, but I want to bring this all back to crime, Chicago, these other cities, and so on, because the backdrop of all of this is some concept that people are being treated unfairly, and the NFL continues to promote this lie. I don't know why. They seem hell-bent on making sure that everybody believes that this is a country where 70% of their players who are millionaires can't get a fair shake.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
I want to thank my lovely wife, Jennifer. Those of you who know her know how strong Jennifer is. She's an incredibly warm and loving wife, and she's an incredible mother to our children. And somehow, through the late nights and the surgeries and all the other things, she managed to hold our family together to make sure that Harrison and Madison were cared for as well. And still to this day, she's not only by my side, but she's also serving as a great mother. I am lucky to have you. Thanks for being here. Love you, sweetheart.
Welcome back, everybody. That was Steve Scalise. Thank God he's still alive. And let me tell you something. Don't expect any NFLers to take a knee in support of Steve Scalise and the fact that it was a Democrat, a guy named Hodgkinson or whatever, who decided to shoot him for no reason. See, let me just explain something to you. Black America, leftist America, doesn't care if 5 million white people get shot and killed. I mean, we just profiled a lady who's on the left, a teacher, no less, an academic. And she said of the people who probably went to see this country concert, the majority of them are going to be Trump fans. And it's okay if those Trump tards were killed. She's only praying that the only people who were killed were what she deemed to be Trump tards. Because you're stupid if you voted for Trump. How could you not be? Because she voted for Hillary and she's an academic. She's smart. These are the people teaching your children values. Just saying. Every time you decide, I'm going to leave my child with somebody, understand your child's going to come back as a sponge if they're the typical kid, and they're going to tell you something. You're going to, where'd you learn that? And that needs to be good or it needs to be bad. So I'll give you an example. I had some friends over to the house, and very close friends that have kept my son and done some things with him. And Brian says, I can really tell this kid didn't fall far from the tree. I was having a conversation with him about dog sitting, because Brian's wife dog sits. And my son says to him, do you charge to walk the dogs, or do you just charge a flat fee to sit them? And he says, no, we just charge a flat fee. And my son says, you do know you can charge to walk the dog. And Brian's like, yeah, we know. We're trying to look at it, like we're trying to offer like an all-inclusive service that lets people not have to worry about, is my dog getting walked or whatever. It's just all-inclusive. It's a good price. They feel like it's a good bar. He goes, I understand. He says there are lots of other services that could be offered. For example, you could offer gourmet dog food versus regular dog food. And so Brian's explaining to me what's going on in this conversation. And as much as I'd love to take credit and tell you, oh yeah, it's my kid, his mom's had that conversation with him, because when we sit our dog or, have him in the kennel, then that's the type of thing that the kennel has said to us. So she was explaining capitalism, that you could have a la carte services, which is what he called them, which surprised Brian. You could have a la carte services, or you could have all-encompassing services. And Brian was blown away. And see, I'm not blown away because I know this kid has been taught very interesting things and interesting concepts. But here's my point to the story. In leaving our son with Brian and his wife, because he was in school before I could actually get moved and everything else, I wasn't worried about the conversations that were going to come up, because politically we agree. And not to mention, our kid knows a lot. He's not just going to fall for anything. So it was very refreshing to hear a report back where I'm going, that's a good conversation. We talk about, I mentioned to him that Seth Curry, because he knows I can't stand LeBron James. And so I said, hey, buddy, just letting you know, Seth Curry didn't want to go visit the president. He's like, really? Explained it, and his older brother had gotten him a Seth Curry jersey because my son really loves, he loves the player. He's a great basketball player. And my son goes, you think Corey would be mad if I burned Seth Curry's jersey? And I said, he might be, because it's a gift. The only reason why I haven't said to you something about it is because it is a gift. But that was the first question. Can I burn it? If he disrespects the president, I don't want it. So I didn't tell, it was his decision. But that was his first thing out of his mouth. This is a kid being raised right. What are you talking about, disrespecting the president? It's an invitation to the White House. It is an invitation to an endorsement. And I had this conversation with you guys before, that if Barack Obama invites me to the White House because he wants to cover an issue and he's going to fall on the sword and say, Kevin, you black conservatives have been treated horribly by other people, and it's time we reconcile this. I'd love to go to the White House and have that conversation. But I'm not going to go to the conversation to have him pat and say, here's all my views, and I'm inviting you here so it can go look like you're capitulating to me when you go home. You're not using me. But in this particular case, if I were an athlete and had won the championship, all politics aside, I'm going to the White House. I don't care if Obama's there. I'd go there, take the team picture, say I was part of it. And if they go, were you down with Trump? With Obama? I'd go, heck no. But they had good food. And, I don't know if I was going to get back there, but that's why I went. But I would not go if it violated my ideological, bent. and I didn't. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about. We were talking about the football ratings, and suffice it to say they're way down. The league is still suffering. They're still trying to walk the line. Let's all link arms, and we'll have the occasional people sit. So they had what? I think they said, when Kaepernick did it, he sat, and then after that it was 9 people. Then Trump said, okay, sit, do whatever you want. And supposedly they say 200 people sat. I don't know if that's the case. I heard it was 100. But it's 1,700 people in the league. Overwhelming majority of people did not sit. Then the NFL did whatever it did, issued the edict, and I was told that it was less than 20 people this week that sat. I don't know the numbers specifically, but a bunch of them sat. Some stood and raised their fist. So here's the thing. The NFL is still trying to walk a line of, I don't know, we don't, do what you want. It's your peaceful protest. The NBA said you will stand for the anthem, period. Now, if they're smart, they'll say you will stand, you will make no gestures of black power, white power, or any other power. You'll stand, and that's it. If they were smart, that's what they do. Now, they've already said you're going to stand. I don't know how far they've gone. The NFL would be smart and to say that, but they haven't. And let me tell you something, and I said this the other day. Until they do this, there's only one direction it's going to go. And it isn't like they start doing it and suddenly we all come roaring back as fans. It isn't going to happen. Because now they've tainted the brand to the point where people know that they don't like. These players are making millions and millions of dollars, but they don't like America. They don't like, what we represent. Why should I come back at all? So unless the NFL not only stops this, but they start getting these players that come out. By the way, the overwhelming majority of blacks in the NFL don't give a crap about Black Lives Matter. Nobody's going to tell you that. I'll tell you. When they start featuring these guys and playing for them, then showcasing them is the guys who are on the field playing and doing well and become ambassadors to the sport is not going to happen. Now, here's something interesting. They said that the quarterback of the Oakland Raiders, he stood while the players took a knee. And supposedly they let him down. They didn't play hard. This week, guy gets brutalized, maybe out for the season. The rumor is not only that last week did the Raiders throw the game. I don't know. I don't know if this is true or not. It's out there, wide speculation, that they threw the game and said, we ain't playing for this white boy who would not take a knee with us. And then the next week, he gets his knee blown out or something because they won't block for him. And now they got a quarterback in that they can't win with. But that's the level that these people appear to be willing to go in order to further their own cause. How sick is that? That you would sacrifice your team and your players because they don't want to, they don't follow your ideological bent. Be careful out there, guys.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome everybody, Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. Glad you are with me. It's always trying times. There's the Bible says there will be wars and rumors of wars, so we know that. I believe we find ourselves in the midst of a war. This is the biggest civil war of our time because it's been going on for so long. I don't know how long the regular Civil War lasted, but what I can tell you is this Civil War has been going on for decades. And it's the first sign that conservatism is pushing back. We have been letting these guys gain more and more ground. I want you to think of this as a military battle. When I say this, I'm talking about the ideological battle between left and right. I want you to think about this. How long it's been going on. And what it has taken our minds off of the things that are important, the things that matter. We aren't talking about being one. Think about how much more effective you are when you don't have the riffraff. Like, let's say your family gets together and you guys say, you know what, kids, we're all going to get together. We're going to go get that cabin. We're going to build that cabin on that land we bought. And everybody comes at it. The 3 big boys come in. The daughters come in. The neighbors pitch in. Everybody goes, we're going to build that cabin. And you build it. It's singular focus. Because, the family says we're going to celebrate here together. What is it that America hasn't done where we collectively got together, all of us, and said, you know what? We're going to make this happen. We have changed the course of humanity. And you know what the left does? They will not allow us to unite. The closest we ever got was on 9/12. People quit their petty bickering. They were all for one and one for all. George Bush came out and said he's going to go get these dudes, and everybody was for it. That's as close as we got. Ever since then, the left has used whatever has come up in this country to be divisive, to the point of ridiculous. Let's not support law and order. Hands up, don't shoot. They kill that boy. And you're going, what? That was a completely legitimate thing. Then suddenly, every cop shooting was under scrutiny, beyond scrutiny. Cops were getting their butts kicked because they were being overly sensitive to the racial condition. And I could go on. This situation we find ourselves in with the NFL is a joke. It's a joke. The idea that we can't protect our borders from invading banditos is a joke. That we would set up sanctuary cities to hide heinous criminals is a joke. That we would allow terrorists to come into our midst because we don't want to be insensitive to their plight, insensitive to their religion. The religion of war is what I call it. And so what is the outcome? We won't even talk about the terrorists from Sudan who shot up a church, a white church, in the name of Allah, a Muslim from a banned country, as a refugee. We don't even find out how much coverage has been given of this story. But then remember back on a similar story, Dylan Roof, who gets covered from pillar to post. The dude brought down the Confederate flag, for goodness sakes. This is what we're dealing with. This is the Civil War. The Civil War that pits man against woman. Hillary Clinton doesn't lose one bit of, there's not a window to get through when it comes to pitting man against woman. It is always men are out to get her. They're out to get women. If it weren't for the women out there fighting for women, well, where would they be? They would be doing great. Hillary uses the same argument, and so do other leftists that say if it weren't for the white folks, the Democrats fighting on behalf of blacks, where would they be? And I would tell you, a lot farther than they are. And I could go on. They are the most divisive people on the planet. They do not like it when things are going well. There is no money in well. And people ask me all the time, Kevin, why? Why are we still talking about race and things like this? I told them, I said, if there was any money in solving this problem, they'd solve it. There's no money in solving the problem of racism. Quite the opposite. But here's my point to you. I want you to imagine a world where you got up and the NFL players played football. You went to go watch football. Sunday was woohoo. You went to put on your favorite team's jersey. You got the salsa and the chips and nachos and queso and guacamole and whatever else you use, you prep for. And you got all the little finger foods and the sandwiches, what have you. And you got friends coming over. And all they're going to do is play a football game. All you got to do is cheer for your team, the red guys or the blue guys. That's it. It isn't about half the team you boo because they're going to take a knee because they're spitting in your face you white American, you oppressive person, and they want you to believe that they're being oppressed by some, specter of policing that says we're going to, target blacks when in fact the stats don't live up to any of that. The notion of that is just a lie. But you can't enjoy that. So I want you to come back with me. Let's go back. You got all your food prep. Friends are coming over. You turn on the game. National anthem's played. Everybody's got their hand over their heart. Game gets played. Your team wins. Win or lose, you go away happy. One way or the other. The experience, the camaraderie. That's what used to bring people together. Neighbors of mine. Hey, Kevin, if you want, you could have, C come by with the kids. We watch football every Sunday. If you guys, want to come by, I go, no, I don't watch football. Why not? I go, I disagree philosophically with the players in the league. I no longer watch football. I said, C may come over, but he's not much of a football watcher either because he tends to follow his folks. We've never been by there. Never have we gone to these people's houses. They're nice people, but I don't watch football. And I'm not going over there. Not for football. Now, if football were regular, I would gladly accept my neighbor's invitation. See, that could bring the neighbors closer together, but it doesn't anymore. In fact, I kind of look at it and say, I don't know why y'all are watching football. I don't hold it against them. But there's a part of me that goes, you probably don't understand why I don't watch football. I've never brought it up. I just said I don't agree with them, so I don't watch it. Anyway, more to come.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
We've seen the NASDAQ up quarter after quarter as well. The S&P 500, a record there. And the markets overall, when you look at the Dow, the NASDAQ, and the S&P, you can see wins across the board. The NASDAQ has fared the best of the bunch.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. We'll get back to some of these other topics, but I do want to talk about the economy a little bit. I want to talk about jobs. Gold is up. The stock market is up. Your portfolio, if you have one, is rising, and it's been rising steadily. And I'm talking about significantly since the election of Donald Trump. Economic indicators, outlook, everything aggressive. A bull market in many ways. Now, they keep talking about corrections and things like this. And look, stuff has to occur. But let me tell you, right now, you have to, the way the economy has been managed, you don't feel like you're on the precipice, do you? I don't. I feel rather optimistic. They have this thing called an optimism index, and Americans are extremely optimistic about what's going on. They actually believe jobs are going to be coming back to the United States. And oh, by the way, they are. I looked to see if they had released the economic report. The month before, we did 222,000 jobs. The month after that, we did 156,000, and they said, "Oh, it's bad news." That's a good month. That was a stellar month for Barack Obama. I'm predicting it'll be higher than 156. In fact, I believe more than 200,000 jobs have been created for the month of September that should have been reported on October the 1st. I couldn't find anything on it. So I'm curious as to where we end up. But here's what really bugs me, and I alluded to it in the previous segment, which, by the way, if you want to listen to the show at any time, folks, kjradio.com. But here's what bugs me about this. What bugs me is that we should be talking about this economy. We should be talking about the forward-looking statements of the United States government as Donald Trump sees it, as he puts things back into the private sector and essentially incentivizes businesses to now get back on board because we're going to have an economy that can support it. I'm anxious to see when we get back to those discussions. Let me tell you why the left is talking about NFL taking a knee. They're talking about Puerto Rico is being, Donald Trump's ignoring Puerto Rico when they know that's not the case. And I could go on. The reason for all of this, folks, is because the left in no way wants you to start looking at the real indicators and what's going on in this country. Now, here's the good news. There's no way they're going to keep the cat in the bag. Eventually, you and many others are going to start not only learning about it, you're going to be talking about it because you're going to be experiencing it. It's already happening. Now, what do we have to do? People ask me this all the time. We have to start focusing our efforts into showcasing, number one, what's being done. It's one thing that we understand. Think of it this way. You're talking about the NFL taking a knee. If that is what we go into the election with, it isn't going to crush us, but it isn't what we want to go into the election with. What we want to go into 2018 with is people saying taking a knee was the wrong thing to do. And oh, by the way, all these black guys that took that knee, you are now going to get regular jobs. But guess what? Your compadres, all these unemployed young black men are going to be involved in something. Do you want to involve them in something? This is our time. You have to reach out. We've got to, as a community, teapartycommunity.com, shameless plug, we've got to reach out and start giving these guys something to do, getting them in a trade, getting them into tutelage, getting them looking at how businesses run and doing it the right way. Their influences can no longer be drug dealers on the street. It's got to be people that they watch do something positively. God, I so want to do this type of a thing. I want to do this in every city. And I'm not talking about, oh, Kevin, you just want to help black kids. Look, it's not about color. It's about, I want to help the people who need the most help right now. Young black men need role models. And contrary to what people tell you, those role models do not have to be other black men. Is it good if they are? Absolutely. Let me tell you something. There are many black men all over this country who would love to be a part of some sort of a tutoring or mentoring program that gets these kids off the street and does some very cool things with them. Now, ironically, the numbers are still going to help. You don't need these programs for things, because what I mean by that is the ocean rises, but it'll slowly rise for the others, for blacks and some other minority groups. And we can help affect that rise better. We can make it happen a lot faster if the private sector gets involved. But let's just look at some of the numbers, okay? Unemployment, easy figure. Easy, we're talking about 4.3% unemployment, 16-year low. So, and that's going to drop. And even if it stays there, because technically that's like full employment. But if it stays there, in other words, more people start to look and more jobs become available, Trump still comes out looking like a superstar. 16-year low, no argument. Housing prices are up. Average home price $220,000 under Obama, $268,000 under Trump. Huge differential in Trump's favor. So we have that. Loans are up, both personal and businesses. People are borrowing more. Now you say, well, now wait a minute. That's not good. Yeah, it is good. Because what we had was a relative freeze. We had the government effectively trying to incentivize people to borrow by keeping the interest rates super low. And they still couldn't do it. With Trump, people said, okay, now I can be optimistic. They're borrowing more money and on a personal level and business level, which means they're investing in something. Their businesses are saying, we see something that's happening in the marketplace. It says we need to start staffing up and getting ready. So they're spending money. Now the people, we're not spending money in retail. Retail was down 0.2% under Trump. And I'm not going to blame, say, well, that's a fallout of Obama. It is, but who cares? Retail is suffering in the sense that people aren't buying as much in clothes and shoes and stuff like that. But as I said, they're borrowing more money and they're spending it on capital. So you're seeing a lot of money in cars and homes. So that tells you that the sector that understands that you're not going to get rich trying to buy clothes is ready to put things into effect, and quite frankly, probably are investing in small businesses and things like that. The trade deficit fell. Yeah, $46.3 billion, lowest it's been so it fell from the last 3 months, lowest it's been since the election. So Donald Trump's trade policy is kicking in. Now that number you're going to watch, it's going to fall and fall and fall substantially over the next couple of years. And finally, the biggest thing, no surprise, stock market, 18,250 to over 22,000. Record. Not even a year into this presidency. Remember, the left told you if Donald Trump gets elected, the stock market was going to crash. Our economy would crash. Can you believe anything that they say now, knowing the information you know?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Glad you're with me. So we've had trying times. Every week is trying. This happens to be one of the biggest. Haven't had this much coverage of something in terms of a terrorist attack since the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting. And that was, of course, geared towards gays. This one was geared towards country music fans. And I saw the numbers. They said something like 22,000 country music fans were at this event in Vegas. And you have to understand Vegas. There's music playing. There's a lot of people. You get fans and you get people that are just looky-loos. People are just hanging out. So it was a big deal. But what's funny about it is the reaction. And we talked earlier about this lady. She's a teacher. Her name is Ann. And she's deleted her profile since her Twitter profile. But this teacher said she was okay with Trump people dying at this event. I think she called us Trump-tards. I talked about it earlier. Pray only Trump-tards died, was what her Twitter thing said. And, of course, she smartly took down her page. And I don't know where she's a teacher, but I hope somebody recognizes her and says, I know where she's a teacher, because that teacher needs to be fired. I said earlier, look, guys, we can have all kinds of disagreements with the left, but I've never wished any type of death on anybody that, quite frankly, didn't deserve it. Meaning, if I wish death on ISIS people, I don't have any problem with that. I'm not worried about karma. But you can have a political disagreement with me, and I've had some heated discussions with leftists, mostly because they just can't handle it. They can't handle the truth. And I don't leave going, I ought to kill that sucker. I just leave like, look at that moron. They leave. They want to kill me. I mean, look, I've got enough death threats to last 50 lifetimes. And here's what's interesting. I've never made a death threat unsolicited, unprovoked. In other words, if you say, Kevin, if I see you, I'm going to kill you, then I will fire back. Well, I hope you get your chance, because I tell you what's going to happen. I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to turn this email or this message over to the authorities when they arrest me, because they're going to. And then I'm going to get freed. I'll spend a night or two in jail just to prove my point to you, because you're not going to kill me. I've done that, but I've never had a discussion with Richard Fowler and said, Richard Fowler, if I ever see you, I'm going to kill you. I mean, or what's her name? Lisa Durden. I've never done that. Never felt like, ooh, you made me so mad. Don't make me mad. Y'all make me laugh. The leftists, not you people, not you conservatives. The leftists make me laugh. But there's this penchant for the left to just want to kill. And they don't just want to, they'll do it. These Antifa goons are going around with sticks and, nail boards that they put between their fingers and all kinds of stuff so that they can fight us at rallies. And we're going, really? And nobody, hardly any of them getting arrested, even though I am proud to report one guy got arrested for destroying a cop car. He's going to serve 5 years. So good for him. So we aren't the ones that go crazy. We aren't the ones that shoot things up. It's very rare that it happens to a conservative. And if it does, it's generally some sort of a love triangle or whatever, but it's not going to be based on politics. That's almost always going to be a lefty. But the point I'm making is this, and I want to get to this other story. The top legal executive of CBS, Haley Geftman Gold, said she's not even sympathetic for the victims of the shooting at this country music festival at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas that happened on Sunday. And here was her actual quote. If they wouldn't do anything when children were murdered, I have no hope that repugs will ever do the right thing. And this is what she's referring to Sandy Hook. Then she went on to say this. I'm actually not even sympathetic because country music fans often are Republican gun toters. So she doesn't care. See, this is where I come back to. The left want to tell you they're all about humanity, saving everything. If we could just save one life and all these other cliches that they have. And when it comes down to brass tacks, they are the most heartless people on the planet. If you had a Republican R or a D as to how you voted on your head, a leftist is going to make a decision of do they save your life or not. That's what's going to happen. You wonder why Republicans say, I'm not going to tell you how I voted. I'm not going to tell you I support Trump, which, by the way, I still say is a cop-out. But I get it, because these are the people that will throw you to the wolves if they know your political affiliation. If they don't know that, you're golden to them. They will walk along, think you're smart, thinking. I mean, they'll think, okay, we all think the same. It's unbelievable. So here's another one. The second one. We haven't even gotten into this whole thing, in more than a couple of days. And these leftists are coming out of the woodwork. Another guy I read earlier, Pablo Avila, a Mexican national, says that it's Trump's fault. He's fomenting so much hate. Now, we've talked about this for quite some time. Who's fomenting the hate? You know who it is. I don't need to rehash it again. The fact of the matter is, all of these things, this incident, when we finally shake it down to its core, this incident happened because of some leftism. I'm telling you, and as I said, I will admit openly if I'm wrong. It was funny when I first, we started covering the story. I said something that I jokingly said, ISIS will take credit even though it's a 64-year-old white guy. And what did ISIS do? They took credit for it. I couldn't believe it. They said, FBI investigators had, quote, determined that there is no connection between the Vegas shooter and ISIS or international terrorism. And this is according to NBC's report that the FBI said this. Now, I want to just ask you a few questions because I don't know. I mean, my gut feel is no, he's not connected to ISIS. ISIS is saying, yeah, he's connected to us. Now, it's easy to figure out. I don't think this guy's going to be that good at covering his tracks. Did he reach out to ISIS? Was he in the process of a name change? You know, did he have a Quran in his house and a prayer rug? I don't know, because it would be very unlikely. He doesn't fit the profile, but nothing surprises me about leftism. Nothing. But here's what somebody sent me. And again, I'm no conspiracy theorist in all of this. I just want to pose every potential scenario and also give you some insights into the left and say, this is why this is likely or unlikely or whatever. So you can draw your own conclusions. But here's what somebody sent to me. 1, an unsub shooter. Now, I don't know what he's meaning, by that. The unsub is the accused shooter. I guess he's saying that person is just strange. And then number 2, maybe he's saying we don't know who the other one is. Is there a second shooter? Number 2 is the shooter himself, Stephen Paddock. This somebody just says it doesn't add up, and they're giving you 1, 2, 3. So that's 1 and 2. An unsub shooter, 2 the shooter. 3, Players Club found. Now, that's weird because players clubs are for people that are planning for the future. Before you gamble, you say, here's my players club. You plug it into a slot machine or you put it on a table and they rate you. And so they're saying a players club is found. So this is a guy that, is he a Manchurian candidate? Maybe what this guy's asking, because you're only going to get your players comps if you survive, if you live. When you're busting out windows in your hotel room and shooting people from the 32nd floor, there's not much of a future there. The fourth thing, Marilou Danley name on the card. What's he doing with anybody's player's card? Maybe he's got the hotel vouchers or something. Husband, Gary Danley, which we talked about him. He's a leftist. And he goes on to say this. 2 pictures of Gary Danley together with Mary Lou on her page. I don't know what's so tricky about that. They were married. Next one. Pic of Stephen Paddock. Same pic of Gary on the Mary Lou page. So again, I'm a little confused there. Gary Daniel belonged to many anti-Trump pages, including major fan of Rachel Maddow. I covered that. That's why I said I think the guy's a leftist, undoubtedly. But, you could say, well, Kevin, you can't know. Yeah, I don't know it. But my bet is he is. All 3 profiles were removed within 10 minutes of police identifying Mary Lou. So the profiles are gone. Again, not unusual, a little strange. Now, this is the one that got me. At one point, Filipino Mary Lou was in Dubai. Why? Why is she in Dubai? Why is she in a Muslim country? A woman in a Muslim country. Unless she's working as a maid or a concubine. I don't know. That's the one that got me of everything else, because the rest of it's kind of big time speculation. But they said, yeah, she's in Dubai. We've located her.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show. Sort of along the lines of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago, which is the left and the idea that they claim to love everybody and it's kumbaya, et cetera, but in fact, they pick sides. And in a couple of instances that came out right after the Vegas shooting, we saw exactly who the left is. These are not anecdotal people. The woman who said, pray only Trump-tards died, because she said mostly country music people are conservatives. And so I would say to the people who are doing country music, these leftists that are out there, like who's Faith Hill married to? Tim McGraw, big time lefty. Maybe you should think about your audience. Maybe you should think about the fact that there are lefties out there who want you dead because you do country music. But she said it's okay that these people died because they were Trump-tards. And let's pray that only Trump-tards died. Then we get the CBS exec who says, I don't have any sympathy for the people killed there. They're country music people. Those people tend to be Republicans, or what she called repugs, because we're repugnant to her. So when you listen to these people and they want to regale you with the idea that they're, woo, we love everybody and all that, it's absolute nonsense. They do not love everybody. It's a lie. They pick sides. And all you got to do, if you really want to know how something feels to them, you can't use a Republican. Donald Trump has been a godsend to this country. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on, he's a godsend. You might not like his choices of Supreme Court Justice Gorsuch, but Gorsuch's a great guy. I'd tell you the truth, if I were a lefty, I'd be mad that he picked Gorsuch, but there's nothing wrong with Gorsuch. He's going to make the right decision for the country. If you could say that about the left, I wouldn't mind if you told me, Kevin, we're going to take this lefty judge, but they are for the good of the country. They're going to make the right decision for the good of the country. I'd be okay with it. But they don't do that. They follow ideological patterns. And what we follow are common sense patterns that work. But here's the thing. A librarian, and you guys know the story, wouldn't accept these books from Melania Trump because they were Dr. Seuss books. And the First Lady put this letter in there: getting an education is perhaps the most important and wondrous opportunity for your young lives. And the librarian's name is Liz Phillip Suero, and she wrote an editorial for the Horn Books Family Reading blog explaining why her school does not need the books. And she wrote, yearly per pupil spending in Cambridge is well over $20,000. Our city's values are such that given a huge range in the socioeconomic status of our residents, we believe that each and every child deserves the best free education possible and are working hard to make that a reality. Most classrooms maintain a 60-40 split between free and reduced lunch and paid lunch. This offers our Title I school the district a lot of privilege and room for programming, pedagogy to foster high standards of excellence. Even so, we still struggle to close the achievement gap, retain teachers of color, dismantle the systematic white supremacy in our institution. But hell, we test well, and in the end it appears the data and not the children are what matters. And she goes on to talk about the fact that the Cat in the Hat, Dr. Seuss, was essentially racist. And then, as you guys probably know, she got outed. They found her complete in uniform in the library in the Cat in the Hat outfit with the books. Reading is fundamental, blah, blah, blah. And it had something to do with Michelle Obama having donated the books or something like that, or who knows. But suddenly, the Cat in the Hat was no longer racist. Now, this lady who wanted to make a stance, who wanted to show Melania Trump, I'll show her. And so Then the opposition team, Melania Trump and people at the White House, said, let's do a little research on this teacher. And they found her in the Cat in the Hat outfit, happily, cheerfully talking about the Cat in the Hat, etc. And there's Michelle Obama reading the Cat in the Hat. This woman never said a word about the Cat in the Hat. Never said a word when Michelle Obama did it. I don't know if Michelle Obama donated books or whatever. And for the record, I don't care about Dr. Seuss any more than I care about anybody else. I learned to read on some Dr. Seuss books, and my kids have learned to read on some Dr. Seuss books. But it could have been anything. So I don't have an affinity for Dr. Seuss. What I can tell you is I never got out of Dr. Seuss that he was racist or that there was some lesson in green eggs and ham outside of me going, why to get the green eggs? Why the eggs green? What kind of monster is that? Is it a leprechaun egg? I didn't know. It never mattered. So it backfires on this woman. And it was opposition research that showed you. But here's what's interesting. I've already told you what you know, which is if, all you got to do is switch it up. If Michelle Obama had given her the book, she would have beamed, and it would have tried to give her an award, and they would have begged her to come to the school, etc. First Lady Trump, Melania Trump, does it, and it's, oh my gosh, it's so racist, whatever. Then we find out, of course, this lady's the biggest hypocrite in the school, if not in the town, maybe in the state. So we learn, the basics, that Democrats are duplicitous in their nature. Everything they do is political. She couldn't just accept a very gracious gift from Melania Trump. So that's where we are. But what are the real issues? The real issues are this. When Donald Trump offered his travel ban, which is a travel order that was practically identical to Barack Obama's, they hated it. They hated it. It was too far reaching. It was this. Trump even softened it. They still hated it. Now, does it matter that a guy who was on the travel ban, who theoretically should have been on the travel ban, from the Sudan, a Muslim from the Sudan, comes over here, shoots up a white church in the name of Allah, and it's probably still on there's not even a ban list for him. He probably could get in to this day. I find that ironic. So when Barack Obama did it, it was okay. When Trump did it, it wasn't okay. Goes back to what we just talked about with Melania. And there's example after example of Donald Trump doing something similar, to Barack Obama, and everybody having a conniption. Donald Trump had the identical stance on immigration that Barack Obama had at one point. Identical. If you didn't know that, if you just read the text of Barack Obama talking about protecting our borders, making sure, same thing as Bill Clinton. Nobody said a word on the left. Donald Trump says we need to protect the border, potentially build a fence, and disincentivize companies from hiring these people, and they have a fit. Could go on. Different policies that Trump has had an identical position to Obama, and these guys are like beating down on the guy. And so, one of my teammates made a video about this, and I told her, I said, I don't mind the video, but you didn't cover all these things where Trump did the same thing, and they excoriate him. And then when these guys do good, then the left goes, oh, look at what they're trying to do there, Mr. Goody Two-Shoes. So a good example is Donald Trump Jr. turns over his data. It says, here are my emails. Here's everything. Nothing redacted. Do whatever you want with them. Oh, what's he up to? But Hillary Clinton turns over nothing. And, there's nothing to show here. When you don't even need Hillary Clinton to turn over data. It's a matter of public record this woman's been on the take. So you could go on listing all of these different people and all of these different efforts, and it's going to all come back to the same thing. If Donald Trump did it, it's wrong. If Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton did it, then it's right. That's how these people act. And they wonder why we don't trust them. They wonder why we revolt. I would ask leftists, Are you capable of playing by the rules? Are you capable of just saying, I don't like this policy because it's a bad policy or because it's Trump? Can you look at Obama at a policy and not love a policy because it's Obama? When do you people grow up is my question. Just give us an ounce of truth. We don't need it all.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.